Hello redesigners, it's Cece from Cece Restyled, and it's Thursday, noon EST, and today we are doing our thing like we do every Thursday, and we are redesigning some things with all the Prima. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is layer some stenciling, some metallic stenciling with some transfers, and so we'll show you how to do that, and I'm going to be showing you on a door, but you can do it on a wall, canvas, wood panel, furniture, any kind of, decor, anything really. So it's as simple as stenciling and then letting your stencil dry and throwing your transfer on there. But, there's some little tips and tricks that we can go over along the way. And if you're hopping on, say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm in Indianapolis, where it's really cold one day and really hot the next day. So anyways, we're in my store today, and I decided this used to be the dressing room here. I don't want a dressing room, so I use it as stock storage for, back stock. And so we're gonna be doing up our door, okay? So this is my little clothing area, which is not very big. I don't have a lot of clothes, but this is a clothing area in my store. So yes, we've got some, I'm not necessarily trying to match, so you can see how there's lots of different colors happening, so I'm not trying to match anything in particular. So I just picked what I thought would go with my blue door, which I painted yesterday. Okay, so painted this yesterday and let it dry, Avi, and I'm going to be applying our stencil and our transfer directly to the dried paint. Okay, so you want to wipe it off, make sure it's free of any debris, dust, stuff like that. And then we're ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Let's see, hello everyone. Aw, how sweet are you? Okay, so we're doing the door, okay? We're doing up a door. So like I said, painted. Now this trim and these big glue balls and like all this door was like this when I moved in here to the store. So, well, when I moved my store into the store. This was here, so it's not perfect. Like the trim is all off center and there's glue drips all over, so that ain't me, okay? And it's not important enough for me to fix it. I just want the door to look somewhat pretty in my little space here. So that's what we're gonna do, right? And I added this little decal. This is not a redesign with Prima decal. I cut this on my vinyl cutter and I added it here because what I wanna do is in these little framed in areas, I want to do metallic stenciling, okay, and then a little bit of floral transfers in the corners to just kind of add some color and interest and be real pretty, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with the stenciling so it can dry. As soon as it's dry to the touch, we can use our transfer. And basically, when I'm stenciling, okay, I have a couple little tricks that I do every time I stencil, and most of the time, like 95% of the time, I get a nice, crisp, clean stencil. And if I don't, it's because one of my little variables, I was going too fast, or I didn't let my adhesive dry enough, or I let it dry too much or something. So yeah, what I'm saying is if you do it right, it works. So we're using this Decor Stencil Diamond Flourish today. This is one of the newer release stencils, one of the newer larger. There used to be large stencils and 3D stencils, and then they got retired, and then they came out with the smaller stencils, about a quarter or less of this size, and now we got our big stencils again. Yay! So we love big stencils for doors and walls and all that. So what I did was I went ahead and I misted the back with spray adhesive. They make stencil adhesive. I just used regular old spray adhesive. I used Aleene's tacky, and I did that about 10 minutes ago before I hopped on here. So I just use regular spray adhesive. You can use Elmer's Super 77, whatever spray adhesive is, archival usually is what I get. So there's no yellowing or anything. Not that it would show on your piece, but I've misted the back lightly. Okay, the key word is mist, and the second key word is lightly. You want to let it dry to a tack. That means you want it to be sticky, okay, but not wet. Not wet, not all the way dry, just a little sticky. So I may have let it dry a little too long. I'm going to give it one more quick mist while I get our metallic paint ready for our stenciling. So let's see. Give it a little misty mist of that adhesive. Not too much, right? And then we're going to be stenciling with paint. You can stencil with gilding wax, paint, chalk paste, all the things. I love stenciling with anything and everything. But I always use a 4-inch foam roller for stenciling, or whatever size, usually 4-inch. And the reason why I use these is if you load them up very light, you load them up lightly, okay? Or load them up and then offload to where you're almost like dry brushing or dry rolling the stencil on, okay? You want it to be soaked up in there real well so it's not oozing or dripping. That's where you get those drippy, globby, loopy stencils but that aren't crisp, you know what I mean? So you want to almost like do a few passes with a very light coats. But this is a redesign with Prima roller. Comes with the this little tool, the roller tool, and then 4 brand new roller heads. They're 4 inches, and a little acrylic plate that you can pour your paint on and load up your roller on. So those are handy dandy. I use these more than I use a paintbrush, I feel like. So that's not true, but I'm just exaggerating to get my point across. I use these a lot. I think they're like, I don't know, I want to say around 14 bucks retail, but I have a bunch and I rewash the rollers, so by the time I have rewashed them so many times and they're starting to fall apart, I've gotten my $14 worth, you know what I mean? And if you stencil a lot, they're a must-have. A must-have, okay? So we got a roller, I got a little paper plate, because that a little acrylic plate that comes with it's just too little for me, I'm too sloppy, so I use a paper plate with an edge on it, okay? And I'm going to use a metallic. You can use really any kind of paint you want, but I like me some metallics. And I realized, or I decided that I was going to go with a copper metallic because, why was I going to go with the copper metallic? There's a reason why. I don't remember. There's a reason why I picked copper instead of gold, and I don't remember now, but oh well, if I remember, I'll tell you. So I'm just going to stir this up real quick, okay? I like to stir up my metallics. It doesn't matter what brand or color, like you always want to stir up your metallics because metallics have a lot of micas in them as compared to flat paint. So regardless, you always want to stir those up. Personally, I'm using Paint Couture. This is Couture Copper, okay? And it is beaut. You see how beaut it is? Okay, so I'm going to pour a little bit out on my paper plate. Okay, and yes, I use a transfer tool sometimes to stir my paint because guess what? I have tons of transfer tools just chilling around. Little. Okay, so I'm gonna pour a little bit onto my plate. Boom, just like that, and I'm gonna drip everywhere because that's part of the process. Okay, you get me a little paper towel, clean up that drip. Okay, so I also have some tape, some painter's tape here to hold up my stencil. So what the spray adhesive on the back does is it kind of grabs your stencil onto the surface, and that helps you get a crisp, clean edge on your stenciling. The tape will obviously hold it in place so it doesn't move while I'm rolling my stencil impression. Okay, because if it moves, you'll also get a fuzzy, non-crisp, sharp impression. And we don't want no fuzzy stencil impression, okay? We want a nice, clean one. All right, so let me check this and make sure it's tacky. Yes, it is the perfect amount of tack. So what we're gonna do is grab our tape and let's see, let's go ahead and start on the bottom since we're already pointed down here, okay? So I'm gonna be stenciling inside these little areas. So the question of the day is, how do I get this edge bumped up against the edge of my frame? How do I do that? Well, here's what I do, and I'm not telling you have to do this. I cut very close to the edge of my stencil, almost completely to the edge, and I usually buy my stencils in 3s or 4s, 2s, 3s or 4s for this reason. So I have one that I keep intact, you know, with just regular old paint and clean it, one that I cut, and then I have one that I use for raised stenciling. So that's why I buy at least 3 usually of any given stencil, okay? And it's fine. There's always a use for it. I mean, even when I cut it, it'll still work. So it's not like I'm ruining it. You know what I'm saying? And it's worth it to get that nice looking, you know, flush or all the way to the edge stencil. So let's just cut this side real quick. Oh wait, this side. Guess I could have done this beforehand, but I didn't even think about it, to be honest. Oh, and learn from my mistake, okay? If you kind of zone out while you're painting like I do, you might want to cover that up with tape because you don't necessarily want to put that on your furniture, which I've done 2 or 3 times now. Because I'm a real brainiac, you know what I'm saying? So, let's see. Let's go ahead and fit it right in place. So now, do I want to just go ahead and cut the whole thing to fit inside? Or do I want to roll half and then turn it? No, I want to cut the whole thing to fit inside. So I guess I should have thought about that beforehand. So, oh. All right, so I'm just going to draw where I need to cut roughly. Boom, boom, boom. And this issue, you know, with the border on the stencil and it not, you know, bumping up flush to most edges, that's also a good scenario where you might want to switch to stamps. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there goes a fire truck. All right, so let's go ahead and cut off our little borders. That's going to fit all nice and snug in there, all perfect. I love it when a plan works out, right? Does anybody have any questions so far? I haven't explained anything super mind-blowing, but you never know. Questions, comments, concerns, compliments. I'm just kidding. I don't take compliments very well, so please save those. All right, here we go. Come on, little guy. Cool. So let's make sure it fits. And we're in business, so let's center it. I am, see how the glue, the adhesive kind of holds it in place just a little bit. Grabs onto that surface so you get a nice crisp edge. I'm still gonna tape, see how it comes up in the corners. It's not the solution to holding it on there. It's just to grab at it so you get a crisp stencil. So we still need to use our tape. And I'll just have to be careful about where I'm taping. I don't want to tape over my stencil, but I want it to hold, so got to get it on there. So there's a spot, and then you know what would be awesome? And I just thought of this just now. A pad of adhesive stencils, so kind of like a stick and style, but stick and style meets post-it notes. So you just peel them off the pad, use them, boom, once or twice and done, throw them away in this size. Wouldn't that be amazing? That would be so cool. I mean, yeah, maybe not so earth friendly, but YOLO, you know? We only live once. There, is that better to see? Better to see with. Okay. So I'm going to tape it a couple more places real quick to hold it in place. Then we're going to roly our copper. Okay? Boom. Okay, so this is the important part. One of the important parts to getting a crisp stencil. So yes, I have a lot of paint on here because usually stenciling requires quite a bit of paint in my opinion, but I'm not going to put a whole lot on my roller at once, okay? I'm just going to put a little bit, just like that. And when I am loading up my roller, I want to press firmly into my plate so that that copper soaks up into my roller and it's not just sitting there on the surface waiting to drip and smudge. You want to get it soaked up in there. See how it's all up in there? All up in your roller. Okay, and then we're going to go lightly over our stencil. Okay, you don't want to push or press. You're asking for trouble if you push or press on it. You just want to lightly go over it, and you may have to do it once or twice, but I would rather do that than have to paint over it again and re-stencil because I messed up, you know what I mean? But it happens, you live and you learn. So go lightly over. Lightly, lightly, lightly. I love this couture copper. It is the bomb.com. I'm just saying. Okay, so we're gonna get up in that little corner there. And if you're just hopping on or you missed earlier when I said, I didn't do this trim on this door. So if you're looking at the imperfections and the glue drips, it ain't me. But it's not important enough for me to fix it for this particular project. Don't judge me. Right, more paint, more paint, more paint. And this will dry pretty quick because we're putting it on fairly thin. A couple thin coats. So there's some places where my coat is a little thinner, I guess you could say. The coverage is a little different. I like that look because I like it to look a little bit aged. Another way to do that is do a couple coats and then when it dries, sand it a little bit. But if I just go lightly over some parts, lighter over some parts than others, I can get that look. Does that make sense? So it's not just a perfectly filled in stencil. I just kind of like random faded areas. I like that look, but if you don't, just keep going with light coats until you get the coverage that you want. And when I pull my stencil off, I like to pull from two corners and pull it up and out, okay? I don't like to drag it because then you get streaks and smears. So up and, oh, don't want to get on that dress. Okay, so I'm gonna put this here real quick. And, all right, so can you see, is that a weird angle from up there? I feel like it looks weird on the camera. Does it look weird on the camera? Here. There, is that better? Can you see it now or no? Maybe back here. Can you see it from back there? There we go. That's a little better. So, see little touches of my metallic. Yes, it is a door. It's a door to, it used to be a dressing room at my store, and I do not feel the need for a dressing room because my clothing area is so small, so I use it for back stock or overstock storage, inventory and stuff like that, like for the store, candles and jewelry and such, so yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and move on up to the east side. No, just kidding. We're gonna move up here. And side note, this over here, this wall right here, I've been trying to figure out what to do to this wall. Look, is that not a blank canvas or what? So there's the entryway, or the back door I mean, and then all that blank white wall canvas. What am I gonna do there? What am I gonna do there? I don't know, but it's gonna be so exciting when I finally get to it. There's so many possibilities. Sounds like about a dozen lives waiting to happen, right? Am I right? Okay, so let's go up here and do it to it. So we're just gonna do the same old thing and throw this on here. Ooh, this one's we're gonna have to repeat this one because it's not the same size as the bottom, but it's just fine. That's what stenciling is all about. It's the name of the game. And I'm gonna make it fit a little bit better by cutting off this part. Shoot, this whole thing is a little different. All right, we're just cutting it to fit. Just in case you missed it earlier, I am cutting my stencil to fit so it's flush with all the edges. I personally buy my stencils in around 3s usually for this reason. I realize not everyone wants to do that, but I don't know, does anybody know any other tips or tricks to get the stencil right up to the edge? I really don't, besides cutting it, which I've never cut one and then been like, oh my gosh, why did I cut that? I needed it for blah, blah, blah. It's always still usable. You just might have to make more impressions or more repeats with it, but that's okay. Doctoring this up a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit there, and boom. I think we are good. Ah, just kidding. There we go. Now we are good. Woo! All right, so boom. That actually looks really cool right there, doesn't it? In the all copper with the cutout, with the negative space of the door color. But unfortunately, we're not going to leave our stencil up there permanently. That's not how this is going to work. So even though it looks pretty, we're sticking with the plan, okay? So load up your roller, light coats as many as you need to achieve the opacity that you're looking for with your metallic. It also depends on what metallic you're using. Paint Couture has the best coverage of metallics I know of, so you can get away with less coats. But like I said, if I don't do even coverage, I can get that kind of aged look that I like. So we'll stick with that. Get a little more paint here, just a little bit more paint, and boom. Okay, so again, this is on bare paint that I've, made sure there's no dust or debris. It's wiped clean, but it's just bare paint, not sealed, not waxed, not nothing. Just 2 coats of Notorious BLU from the Remix collection. And now some Couture Copper with a Redesign with Prima stencil and roller. Boom. All right, so now we gotta let that dry for just a sec and then we will repeat it. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out and away so they don't smudge it, and there we go. So, let's see. I'm gonna let that dry for just a second. Is that pretty? Pretty, huh? Pretty stencil. I love patterns. Oh yeah, the beaded frame is cool. If you'll notice it's not even, but that's not my doing. I didn't build this or add the frame. It's uneven and there's glue drips all over, but no biggie because this is not an important door. It just one I wanted to look a little jazzed up. Yeah, but even though there's that border around, if you do halfway through the stencil, you're still gonna not get it up flush with that trim because it'll bend. Does that make sense? So you could bend your stencil more or get a brush and get in there, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. See how if you do halfway, you still have to contend with that bend right there. So you have to push your stencil in somehow, which that's fine. It all works. There's numerous ways to skin the cat, so to speak. But like I said, I buy 1 to cut up, 1 for raised stenciling mediums, and 1 for just keeping in decent condition. So that's just me. Okay. So we let that dry just enough to where we can go ahead and line up our next impression, which will be right around, oh, let's see, oh, can't see that, huh? There you go. So maybe we'll go ahead and go up here because I don't see, it would line up here, right? But I'm missing just a little bit of it. So we're just gonna bring it up here and line up this way. So basically that means, I'm not going to take the time to cut the bottom, so I'm going to actually do what somebody was talking about, Danita was talking about halfway through, and when I was saying you still have to bend it like that to get in the groove or in that crease. See what I mean? If I'm not cutting it, then I have to bend it like that to get in there. But I'm gonna do that and see what happens, just to see. So if you don't want to cut your stencil, then you can get an idea of what kind of edge you can get by just bending it into the groove. And that's okay. So let's go, start up here. So I'm gonna hold this down here in place so it's not flopping around everywhere. That's not a good thing, having your stencil flopping around. So I'm just gonna kind of push it into that groove, like there. Carefully go down into the groove as far as I can with my roller. See what happens. Hi there. Thank you, I appreciate that. It's fun, right? It was fun to create. I appreciate that, thank you. Store is open. Yes, it is. Store is open. It's a Thursday. All right, so let's see if we can get a little bit closer like this. I don't know, guys. Okay, boom. So we're gonna pull it out and away, and there you go. So as you can see, our edge doesn't go all the way up to the trim, but I can live with that, right? It's not like a harsh edge or anything glaring, so I can handle that. So what I'm gonna do now while that dries, we're gonna do a transfer over that, but first, first we're gonna paint these little beaded trim guys, okay? Where we're just gonna kind of dry brush over them or lightly go over them with our brush, okay? So that we get the tops of those little beads and really make them pop. I kind of want to make them look like pearls, you know, like colorful pearls, because that's what they look like, right? I like how big they are too. I like the oversized beads. So what I'm going to use for that is some Art Alchemy. I know you guys love it when I bust out the Art Alchemies, because I love it when I bust out the Art Alchemy. If I flipped it upside down, it wouldn't line up. I thought about that, so it wouldn't line up unless I, you know, was very lucky. See what I mean? It wouldn't have lined up, but it's okay. Sometimes I don't cut it and I go around the whole edge just like we did by pushing it into that corner, and then I'll take some sandpaper and I'll go around the edge so it looks a little distressed around those edges. So it really, if you're okay with that kind of faded off aged look, then no big deal, and I am a fan. Okay, so let's grab our Art Alchemies real quick. Okay. And originally, I was thinking of doing them like a champagne pearl kind of color, but I thought, why not do some Opal Magic? You know, why not? There's no reason to not do any Opal Magic. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, the Art Alchemy paints from Prima Marketing are these little paint pots. Aren't they cute? And they come in all the colors, and they're all metallic or iridescent or shimmery, so of course that means they're all amazing. And, oh man, Opal Magic. So the Opal Magic shine two different colors depending on if you're on a light or dark background and which angle you're looking at it at. So I kind of like this coral one. It's called Coral Green, so it shines coral or green. And this is kind of coral or, you know, coral iridescent. So I don't know, do I want matchy-matchy? I don't think I do. I also am loving this color called, where is it? There's a color called Emerald Green, which it's not really emerald green, but it's called that, and it's so pretty. Here it is. Yes, look at that. Do you think that will look good on my little pearls? We can try it, and if it's not bright enough or contrasty enough or doing the thing, we can always add a different color. Or we can do both. I don't know. Let's see what it looks like first. Okay, so right here I've got blue gold. Okay, I'm interested. I think that might look neat. And then I've got emerald green, which is bluish aqua, or teal, but Art Alchemy Metallic. These are from the Vannebear line from Prima Marketing. So you should be able to get them on, or from, you know, most retailers should be able to order them, I believe. If they retail Redesign, they should be able to order Prima. So you can get them on Etsy. Just type in Art Alchemy Paints on Etsy and you're in business. All right, so I'm just gonna grab a little 1-inch synthetic and let's go ahead and start with the darker green and see what happens. So generally, I open these and I take the end of my little artist brush and I just stir them up. Because remember what I said about metallics, always want to stir, okay? No matter what brand. Stir up my little paint pot with the end of my brush. Okay, that's enough, I think, right? So obviously I want to wipe off the end of my brush so I don't get paint all over my hand. I love these little paints, they're so sweet. I love to paint my molds with them. Detailing and molds look really great with these paints on them. Okay, so I'm gonna get a little bit of paint on my little 1-inch artist brush. And let's see what happens if we just kind of brush it over the tops of our little beads here. I'm gonna go around the trim part a little bit too. Why not? Why not? I don't know. Is it too subtle for me? I mean, you know how I am about subtlety. Not very good at it. Is that too subtle? See, I'm just brushing over the top slightly. I'm not going to paint each individual bead, which I could, but I love how the tops just highlighted it in metallic give things so much dimension. So that's pretty, right? But it's not really jumping out for me. Like, I like me some loud. So we're gonna grab our blue gold. Okay, this is an Opal Magic, okay? The ones I was telling you about, the Shine 2 colors. Let's see what happens if we go with a little bit of Opal Magic too. So I'm just gonna wipe my brush off, and I'm gonna use the same brush. So I might get a really cool looking blend if I use the same brush with the darker on it. Might get something really neat looking. All right, so I'm gonna load up my brush a little bit, wipe off the excess on the edge of my jaw, and then let's see what happens if we just overlap that. Ooh, okay, now we're talking, Look at that, boys. I'm getting that pearly look that I wanted. Let's do a little bit down here under the trim. Oh, that might have been a little too much. Do a little bit of the trim, just a little bit of spackle. Okay. All right, so what do we think? What do we think about that one? That's way better, right? It's like way more visible, but it's not in your face, like in your face, like contrasty. So I'm just gonna go all over the tops of these beads, just like this. Give them a little highlight. I'll do a little on the trim just to kind of define it a little bit. Just like that. This would look cool glazed to this trim. Oh, shoot, sorry. Not on the video. My bad. Whoopsie daisy. Here, I'll show you on this side then, since I was silly and not showing you the part I was working on. Boom. Oh, just like that. It's so easy, folks. Maybe just go and dab on a little bit more on each one. Get my trim a little bit. Just for a little bit of definition and sparkle. Okay, so I'm gonna go like this. Okay. So that is all she wrote on that, because I'm gonna move on. our stencil is now dry enough to put our transfer on, and check that out. See how I've got the bottom fading up with the highlights? I'm gonna take a different color that I have not yet determined which. I'm gonna take a different color and fade it down into this blue gold. Will that be neat? Kind of some movement, okay? A little bit of movement happening on my trim beads. So let's go ahead and get our transfer. What transfer did she pick? What transfer did she pick? She picked one of her favorites. One of her favorite transfers, Wondrous Floral 2. Okay, Wondrous Floral 2, and where'd she go? There she is. Okay, Wondrous Floral 2, boom. Do you see why I picked this one? The matchy corals and the blues. Yes. This is one of my favorites. I love this transfer because it's unexpected color combinations, right? I mean, you wouldn't expect the yellow and the blue and the peachy corals together, would you? And that's what I dig. Okay, so this transfer is gorgeous. So basically, in case you're not familiar with this transfer or transfers in general, I don't know, maybe you're not. I'm not gonna assume. On the back, you can see a picture of the transfer. When it's all put together, comes in 3 sheets. 3 sheets, you know, 1, 2, 3. So top, middle, bottom, and you piece them together like a puzzle, right? The reason why is because these tubes are much more cost effective than tubes that are 36 inches wide. So piecing it together is a small price to pay to keep the cost down, FYI. So you can use it like that, you know, just flat out on the front of your dresser or wall or whatever. I like to cut them apart and customize, because many times, this will be the first time I'm just sticking with one transfer design on something in a long time. It's been a while, because usually I use anywhere from 2 to 7 different transfer designs on one piece, because I dig that, right? Like I'll be like, oh, I need some blue, but I also need a little bit of green and purple, you know, so I have to pull from different transfers. But this one, we're just gonna stick with this one and just cut it how we see fit. I'm not gonna cover the whole stenciling that we did. What I'm gonna do is probably stick to the corners and have it peeking out from the corners, okay? And that's pretty common. And if you do that, instead of using the whole thing plastered on the front of your piece, you can also stretch these out over 2, 3, 4 different projects if you just use little bits on each project, which is also pretty neat. So let's go ahead and dry fit which area we want to use. I'm thinking if I just kind of cut out somewhere, see these little grid lines? They make it super easy peasy to get straight lines and right angles, so that's awesome. But I'm thinking maybe we cut something like this corner out of this little guy for right there in the bottom. Let's see what else we got, just to know if we're gonna roll that out or not. Those are a little bit bigger. That's the center section. And then this, oh yeah, I see this up top, definitely. Okay, so let's stick with my initial thought. And let's see where we need to cut here. So I'm thinking if I cut around, oh, that might be too much. Maybe if I cut on this line here down to this line here, so these lines, then I can pull this bottom part of my florals, I can turn it, flip it, and put it right here to fill in that bottom corner. See what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna rig it to fit. I'm gonna manipulate it, and you won't be able to tell. It's gonna look just like it was supposed to be that way, you know? Mm-hmm. So these grid lines are awesome. They help a lot. One of those little, oh wait, where was I gonna put it? Here? Yes. Wait, yes. So I'm gonna cut my little grid line, and you wanna be careful. The backing paper can fly off and your transfer can stick to itself. You wanna be careful that that doesn't happen. So they're rolled up in the tubes, you know, they obviously they want to roll up like this. If this backing paper flips off and your transfer sticks to itself, there's no, you don't want to let that happen. There's no bouncing back from that. So you just want to make sure that your backing paper stays on your transfer until you're ready to peel it off and put it on your surface. It's a good timing for you, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to cut right there on that line. And then carefully with this part, because you know that's going to flip up and you don't want it to stick to itself, so set that carefully there. Now let's dry fit it real quick and see, boom, right there in that corner is going to be great. And then we'll fill in a little bit right here to beef it up a little bit. So I'm going to carefully pull the backing paper away. Careful, careful, careful. It's the name of the game. Okay, and then try your best not to touch the adhesive sticky parts on the back because you'll get transfer fingers. That's a real thing. All right, so but you want to line it up in the bottom and the right-hand corner there, best you can. And when you're pretty confident it's in place, you just want to give it a smooth over like that. Okay, and little stick that comes with every transfer, or you can use a plastic transfer tool, which is fancy schmancy, but I like my good old stick sometimes. So.
Oh, I see. What kind of stick that is?
It's like a wooden, it's called a burnishing stick. It comes in, did you get, if you get a transfer, it will come with it.
Oh,
It will, yes. Should, if not, let me know and I will send you a replacement because it should be in every tube. So we're gonna go all over it. You gotta use some pressure, pretty firm. I like to go sideways and then up and down. I like to go both directions.
Oh, that's all right.
And make sure you get your edges really well.
I see. That's how you get the stick off.
Yep, that's how you get it to stick.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so rub it on there as good as you can. Sometimes I use my fingernail on those little edges or corners. And then you pick a corner and you want to peel up slowly. Okay, and you want to go slowly because if something's not sticking like that little edge right there, you just lay it down and give it a once over again.
Okay.
And then slowly start peeling it back. It's warm in here, so I think like my adhesive is kind of like not melting but very soft because it's I just turned on the air, so it's still hot in here, but
Oh, you do a good job.
all right, here we go.
Oh,
Pull it
perfect.
down. You just want to go slow. Be careful not to, tear it or rip it or anything like that.
Perfect.
And then you want to go over it with your pat of your finger or your palm.
Right.
Pop any bubbles, smooth out any wrinkles, and make sure the edges are all the way down.
Okay.
See those little clear edges?
Yes.
If you go over them with your fingers, see how it just disappears
Yeah,
like
lay
that?
Right down.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep, disappears. And what doesn't disappear from that, when you seal it with your clear sealer, that will usually take care of it. But it's usually only on darker colors that's even a thing, so.
That is beautiful, girl.
Thank you, this is one of my favorites.
Oh,
I love the
those
colors in it.
roses. I do too.
It seems to match everything too, even though it's got so many colors in it, different colors. It seems to match so many different paint
Oh,
colors.
that's good. Very beautiful, honey.
Thank you.
Very beautiful.
And there you go. And then again, just go through and
Wipe it down.
yep. Are you using yours on a piece of furniture? Is that what you're doing with yours?
No, I bought this here.
Mhm.
I love this pattern.
Oh, that's pretty.
And I
Yeah.
want to put it on a flower pot, but I'm gonna get some paste with it.
Okay.
You know, use some paste and put it on a flower pot.
Like a metallic paste or chalk paste or?
Oh, which one would be better to put it on the pot?
I like icing paste. Icing paste is like chalk paste, but it's metallic. It dries to like a very kind of plasticky finish, so you can wipe it down, or it could probably be in a light rain even and be okay.
Oh,
It's
really?
a little more permanent than the chalk paste, in my opinion.
Okay, so I could probably get that kind of paste you say?
Yeah, if you want to go on, you can go on Etsy and search icing paste.
Okay, well,
And
I'll
it
go
should
out
come
to
up with all the
Michael's.
colors?
You were saying go out to Michael's.
Oh yeah, they don't have it at the craft store, but
They don't?
no, I don't think they have anything like that at the craft store. But
Oh.
I know Etsy has it, and I'm
Who
trying to think
has
of
it?
it. Etsy.
Where is that?
Are you familiar with Etsy? It's a online, it's a website
Oh, it's a
where people
website.
sell.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
mhm.
okay. I see. That
Yeah.
is absolutely beautiful.
Thank
You're doing
you.
a good job.
I
sweetheart.
appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much.
Yes,
I,
you just did
I
it.
can, all I did was rub it on, so I can't take too much credit for it, but I appreciate it anyways.
But you know what you do.
I
Make it
try.
turn out beauty.
I try to act
That's
like I know
the
what
way.
I'm doing anyways.
Well, I'm gonna go.
All right, have a great day.
You too, both of you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm flipping this around like that, I believe. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this part off. And I think I'm gonna put it right there in that corner. However, I don't really want those little leaves right there, so I'm gonna cut those off. Sorry, my store is open, and I had a lovely little lady come in and buy a transfer and sit there and watch, and that's who I was talking to. So I know I'm not totally crazy. I mean, I am, but not for that reason. All right, so let's put this down in the corner, and then I will hop off. All I'm gonna do after this is just kind of the top. I'm gonna do the top, another corner just like this, but an opposite corner probably, and then I will finish my little pearl painting my beads, and then yeah, that'll be my day. All right, let's line it up here at the bottom and on the left side. I think we're good. See how I just flipped it around? I flipped it to make it fit that corner, this bottom little corner. Made it fit, okay? It's manipulating it, chopping, cutting. The chop shop, the transfer chop shop, right? Ooh, I should get a sign over my studio that says that. The furniture chop shop. We be chopping fools. So you are gonna wanna seal your transfer. I'm probably gonna use a satin, the Paint Couture satin top coat. You can use whatever you want, gloss, flat, semi-gloss, water-based, because transfers do not like oil-based sealers. If you've done it and you got it to be successful, good on ya, but it's not suggested because oil can render the adhesive useless on a transfer, and you don't want a useless transfer. Boo. You don't really want to useless anything, right? Okay, let's go in the corner there. Whoop. All right, so now we're gonna pick a corner and peel. Pick and peel, start here. And sometimes when you overlap the transfers, you have to rub a little bit harder to get them to stick to each other, but they will. Just gotta give a little more elbow grease. This one is being stubborn today. Never had this transfer be this stubborn. Yes, I was talking about you. Now you're gonna cooperate? Okay. Better late than never. And then pull it up and boom. So now that it is adhered, I'm gonna just give it a once over with my pad of my finger or my palm. Smooth out any wrinkles, pop those bubbles, get those edges nice and adhered because the edges are key. If you have edges that are not adhered well and they start coming up, you're gonna get air under there, sealer under there, dust under there, dirt under there, and it will start cracking, peeling, and rolling back, and then your whole transfer will eventually probably be ruined. All right, boom, there's that. But see this little leftover bits? Okay, you either save that, you definitely want to save it. Don't pitch it, because who knows, you may crack or tear a transfer or mess it up somehow, and you'll need a little Band-Aid. These are my Band-Aids. But I'm digging this little, like, what is that right there? Is that that's not a peony, is it? Maybe it is. I don't know what that is, but I'm digging it. So I'm gonna cut it out. Cut it out. And I'm gonna use it. I think I'm gonna put it right there, because why not? But see how this got that harsh edge up top? I'm just gonna have to just cut in an organic little edge, like a petal shape. No harm, no foul. Give it a little organic, edgy edge. Oh, let's keep this little guy too, this little guy's petal. Boom. All right. Waste not, want not, and that is what I'm doing right here. I didn't want to waste that flower. I'll put there, there. I think I want it right there. Yep, right there. Right there. Okay? So, all I gotta do is rub that one on. Get the rest of my beaded trim with my Opal Magic and seal this, and then I'm done. Right? Well, once I do the top, then I'm done. So, layering, stencils, and transfers on our door, Opal Magic, boom. Let me see if I can get you a little panned out version. See how that coral and those coral flowers just really picks up on my little text I got going on there, doesn't it? Just it makes it pop, right? And that yellow on the blue, can't even. Okay, so Sue, what are you talking about? But my Mac and printer would not, so I must have missed some conversation. So I will go back and read those later. Marshall, always making me laugh. Well, I'm going to go back through on the replay and check for questions or jokes or comments that need tending to or reading. So I appreciate you hanging out with me for a little bit today and helping me do my door. Make my door all pretty, right? So, all right, well, I will see you next Thursday at, ooh, can't wait to figure out what to do on that wall. I see some large stencils in its future. Anyways, next Thursday at noon on the Redesign with Prima Facebook page. I'll see you then. Bye.